we're going to jump into the game now because the players are sat there like, damn, those talent really self-indulgent. Just want to talk about absolutely nothing. Matt, this matchup, I think there's a lot behind it, right? Because the Gladiators were definitely feeling pretty hard done by getting, their chance to go to Hawaii denied from them here. And you talk a little bit about why you expect to see more ball comps from the Gladiators, but why is that? Because we've seen this team play a lot of Batiste-based compositions. She was really nasty on their back, especially.
Yeah, I feel like though the Zen-based Wrecking Ball stuff is really kind of what's going to be strong with the hero pool that we have right now, and just kind of what we've seen from Shanghai Dragons, right, in the tournaments, the last two really that they've been able to come through with the Wrecking Ball. I just have to address, your shirt is a sloth riding a llama with tacos.
Yeah, and burritos and pizza. Yeah.
They ride, and then the players are worrying about the the talent, taking up the time. Meanwhile, you're screaming with a llama t-shirt on.
I didn't even bring it up. It's all y'all that had to talk about it. I was ready to talk about Overwatch here, Mr. How Now Brown Cow. Here we are. We're waiting to jump into the... Listen, let's have a look at the Atlanta starting roster here, and we'll at least begin our conversation around them, because obviously no one's really expecting to see Gator on the Wrecking Ball. I don't know why I would be less surprised to see it, to be fair. I think this team, I think it's safe to say, right, this team functions really effectively, when they played that double shield style. Obviously, Sigma not really an option here, but the Orisa definitely seems like a good shout. Hawk, by the way, is top 5 in sort of damage, eliminations, and final blows. As a D.Va player. He is like 14th in sort of deaths, which is, obviously that's quite a lot of deaths, right? He dies more than the average D.Va player, but he's very active. He's very much involved in a lot of these fights. And obviously Kai and Pelican starting here in the roster.
Yeah, that's really the only thing you look at with the Atlanta Reign. The tanks and the support line is going to remain the same. It's really just, which damage dealers are in. So with Kai and Pelican, if Edison was in, maybe you would see some Tracer. They could still do it with Kai in the mix. Maybe kind of just having him in as a worry for some far stuff on the other side. Maybe you need his hit scan potential. But I think the real story for the Atlanta Reign is what the tanks do. We can take a look at the Gladiators starting lineup now. Moth and Shu in terms of supports. I think that's like a dead sign. We're not going to see you still could see the Brig, but they want to get some Lucio play in, and then Shu maybe can play the Zen. And then Mir plus Kevster, so no Bird Ring here. Mir probably plays a lot of the projectile stuff for them.
Well, I love Kevster here, but I think they have their bases really well covered, this team, especially in terms of Tracer. It's probably talked about on the pre-show, but Kevster, I think, is 3rd in hero damage at final blows. 2nd tied for pulse bomb kills per 10. So really, maybe a little bit more of an understated player. It's like maybe the hype around him sort of fell off a little bit after we found out what he looks like, but the guy plays extremely well. The Tracer's very impactful. Space, by the way, #1, I believe, in final blows, knockback kills on the D.Va, but also is 16th in death. So in much the same way as Hawk is, Matt, these are two super aggressive D.Vas. We have two very aggressive flex support players, right? Shu and Iris, especially in the bat meta, were incredibly aggressive. You have two teams that, despite people sort of saying, oh, they'd like to play double shield, or, maybe, people struggling to really ascertain what the biggest strengths of these rosters are, their supports and tanks are incredibly aggro.
Yeah, Lijiang Tower will be the first map in the series here. This is a very important match for, I feel like, the Atlanta Reign. I know the Gladiators, although they haven't made it to any of the Hawaii tournaments, still sitting at 8-4. Atlanta, I believe, we've talked about it on Plot Chat a bunch. We haven't looked at it in a while, but I believe they actually have a pretty decently hard schedule here towards the end of the season. So it's 7-5, and then not a great meta for them potentially. You need to win, at least go 2-2 during this tournament. Really feel good about that playoff push at the end of the season.
Especially if you're feeling like your best looks are compromised a little bit by a hero pool, then you want to get to those playoffs, and you need to find a way to sort of scratch out a couple of those key wins. Atlanta, look, Hawk said it, Matt. It was a tiring trip to Hawaii for them. Tough for them to head out there and come back with nothing again. The roster is really Despite that, though, had a lot of opportunities to take on the very best from that eastern region. That's experience they bring back here to the west, and ideally they leverage to set themselves up nicely for playoffs. Like you sort of mentioned, 7-5 is, for a team that's been to Hawaii twice, is not exactly the most auspicious scoreline. And, you know, look, I don't know.
You would want to come away with league points, right? I mean, that was the kind of goal.
Absolutely.
Like, if you would have went and got wins, right? It wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no consolation just for getting to Hawaii, right? I mean, that is in and of itself, I guess, by some considered their consolation. They get 0 league points from their last trip, so they need a couple more of those, Matt. We have the Wrecking Ball matchup with the Divas in play here. It's going to be Shu and Iris both on Ana. Shu really made his name on Ana with the Guangzhou Charge initially, so fun to see him back on that one a little bit more here. We're going to head into Garden.
Yeah, we've seen the Gladiators play compositions like this in the past, right, with Wrecking Ball. We haven't really seen it that much from the Atlanta Reign like we talked about, but it'll be Pelican with 2 off the rip. It's an easy way to, you know, win that first fight if your FAR is able to get 2. I believe Gator ended up with 1 as well. So Atlanta gets control of the point first.
Yeah, it looks like Mira's drop in altitude was pretty predictable there for Pelican, who was just lining him up across the battlefield. And a pretty, I don't know, much of a start there for Kevster after we talked up his Tracer specifically. Gator here looking for a knockoff opportunity, realizing the Tracer is not really going to yield him that kind of potential. And the Reign are in control of the point here, so Gator will do a little bit of scouting. Pelican trying to make sure he's not blindsided by Mira, who really wants to start this fight off. He's been nano-boosted by Shu, but he's unable to find too much value at all. Shu's gone down. Pelican tracks the Ana across the map, and the Gladiators are, they're looking a little toothless here.
Yeah, I mean, they get absolutely nothing with that nano onto Mira, right? And, you know, Pelican just up in the sky, putting down so much damage that really not answered at all. You know, Space tried to get up in his face, was not able to, but they already lost a few players at that time, and you're really getting into a dangerous territory here for the Gladiators. I mean, look at Atlanta, right? 5 of the ultimates online, getting close to 6. You lose this fight, and one where the Reign don't have to invest that much. But this could be a 100-0 pretty quick.
Oh, Pelican looking for Mira. Or something else, in fact. Yeah, he's actually maybe trying to hunt Kevster down, knowing you can do a lot of damage there with the boosted rocket. Self-destruct going to come into play. Hawk's able to get rid of Muse with that one, and Shu falls to Kai's pulse bomb. Kevster, he's still hunting. He clips Kai, maybe unintentionally, in fact, but the Gladiators need so much more than accidental kills to be a factor here. 86% and counting, and Mira and Moth, well, I mean, they don't want to alight here. They don't want to touch down at all and get Iris, but the Reign is still in control.
I mean, is it enough, though? I mean, Pelican is going to have this rocket barrage could come through the backside of the point, end this rather quickly.
Concussive blast doesn't claim Shu. He's going to step onto the bridge, but Pelican still has eyes for the Ana. Master's gone down, so while Shu is dealing with the scrutiny of the Fari, he's able to pick off a support on the other side of the map here, and despite Pelican's late effort, this will be the Gladiators getting into the game.
Something that happened a little bit earlier, I know when the Gladiators were actually trying to make that push and Nano Boost was on a Pelican, you know, Gator, Pelican, and Hawk were able to collapse on Shu in space. And Moth is just on the other side of the map with Mirror, as Mirror's just trying to put damage down onto Iris, but they were never able to get him, and you just give up your Ana. There's no way Space is enough defense matrix to protect against those 3 players, so they have to do a really good job of protecting Shu as the series goes on.
Mirror gets the nano just as he fires a rocket off in Pelican's direction, so Shu's credited for that kill, and it's a pretty good start here for the Gladiators, who need to be very solid now in their defensive endeavors. At 38% and counting, they'll be pleased to spend very little in a fight like that.
I mean, they have to be pretty much perfect from here on out, right? So the sleep dart kind of go up in the sky, doesn't connect with anybody, as Atlanta looks like they're still trying to figure out how they approach and attack this. Now they've gone over towards that left-hand side of the map. Everybody over there. Maybe you see the nano onto the far yet again and try and get a pick with Pelican.
Oh, careful.
Might be the route they go to. Yeah, that's going to be the nano.
Yeah, Mira knocks himself away from the tower because he knows the splash damage to him could be lethal. Master goes down again to Shu. The bloodthirsty support again getting involved in the fight and removing the key component of Pelican's success in the early round. Shu is getting the Battle Ana skin on. Mira's going to be forced back now for a time, but Hawk runs out of health on the mech. He'll have to self-destruct and get a new one here. But this is now getting a little out of hand for the Reign. Kevster playing safe here from the periphery, ducks back for a health pack. And his team is still in control. Space goes aggressive with a self-destruct. Iris falls to Mirror's barrage, and the Gladiators are still looking sharp.
And they needed that kill onto Iris because you were down Shu at that moment in time, and you had both supports up for Atlanta. They could have made something out of it, but it'll be Hawk who gets on, sends us into OT.
Hawk contesting for the time being. Now it's going to be a Valkyrie for Masa just to try and make sure he can keep that D.Va in her mech, at least for the time being. Space notices the Wrecking Ball across the map and is trying to reduce Gator's impact by forcing him out towards the edges of the conflict. And Kevster has a pulse bomb now. He'd love to make this one work as Moth has already fallen now. The Gladiators are down to 4 and counting. Mirror, what can he get done here? A nano boost, but he has no damage boost from the Mercy at all. He's forced away and he can't touch.
Yes, I mean, they get 2 kills towards the end. They're just not able to get back towards the point. You do have to say, though, the Gladiators did make a really nice comeback there, you know, down basically 99-0. They bounce all the way back. Kai, you know, with some love for Kevster in the chat, letting him know there's a Tracer diff. I mean, 199, I'm not exactly sure. We kind of delve into the diff category, but sure.
Mate, he's got to the point now where sometimes people don't even bother saying what kind of diff it is anymore. I just see YouTube chat, people just type diff. Okay, mate.
Yeah.
The evolution of mankind.
Team diff.
Oh, man. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, not a huge diff. 1%. What's in a 1% diff, Matthew? We'll have to find out here now. Is control setup.
So Atlanta opts to go for a very static composition. No Farah in here. Pelican now will play the Tracer, and then you're going to have Kai play the McCree. Where the Gladiators, they opt to stay with the Farah, where, you know, traditionally, you know, a point like this on Control Center, we don't see too much Farah. And if we do, we see the Farah playing from the outside, not here on the inside by the point.
Ever the aggressor is in space. They get rid of Gator, though. It looks like Pelican was not able to do anything about the Shield's abuse while he was dealing with the scrutiny of space. He stuck into the backline and spent an inordinate amount of time looking face-to-face with Kai, who now realizes that, well, there's not much to do. There's no shield to protect him, so he dies instantly if he tries to fight. He'll poke at Kevster, and that's about it.
And, it's very difficult. We saw a little bit there from Kai's POV, but you know, if you're trying to walk in through the main choke to the point, and that Farah is basically directly above you, the Farah can put down the damage with no return from your player on the McCree.
You can't see it.
Yeah, it's an impossible angle to shoot from.
Kevster holding the flash, can't connect. Nice blink away from Pelican, he takes a headshot, forced to recall. Kevster low, gets an immortality field, and Pelican will slink away. Close call that was, but Kevster stays alive and the Gladiators stay in control.
But I mean, look at that. You need, you know what, Pelican, you know, gets him low, but then he's forced to use recall, and even then they just immortality field, and they have tons of protection there for Kevster, so you're not able to make anything happen where, you know, for the Gladiators, Mirror's able to get a pick with the Farah and, you know, play at a distance and play pretty safe. As Pelican now, this is going to be on the flank, trying to go for Kevster again.
Trying to go for the one clip, didn't quite connect. Enough damage. Almost out of blinks, he backs away. Kevster thinks maybe he goes for the Mega here. No, Pelican is completely out of there, and Kevster can go back to work. His job is shooting shields. That's basically all he does. Deadeye there from the left side of Space's perspective. Masa almost falls straight into that Deadeye. A lot of damage on him, though, and a shield broken means the Gladiators get to keep theirs up.
And the Farah here is just... I think things would have been different if Atlanta had gotten the point first. Like, if Atlanta gotten the point first, the Farah is, like, very difficult to continue to play. But now with the Gladiators in control of the point, they can make a really nice use out of this Farah. It just shreds the shields from Gator coming in. Hawk has to use his defense matrix. At that point, you can have nothing for Kai, and he's not been able to find anything in this round.
Ever since the start of the round, where Space got in his way, prevented him from getting any shield pressure. Right. Two very different looks over 2 rounds, Matt. This Orisa battle comes up in favor of the Gladiators, and the Cree diff call comes out in chat.
So he goes to Greek and he goes, didn't ask. Like, did he ask who the Tracer div was?
Yeah, no, he didn't.
I don't believe so.
No, apparently that passes as like a comeback in this generation,
right.
Matthew. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did ask to get trash talk, but here we are.
So Atlanta could end up going for like a Symmetra play here. So we'll take a look from Kevster's POV. Pelican is not being very sneaky at all there.
He thought he was, Matt.
So do you see them stick on the sim? We're going to see 76, so double hit scan here against this Pharah composition. So they do not want to opt to play like a Wrecking Ball, the Atlanta Reign. They're going to go very static, almost as static as you can get. But this is kind of expected, right? You would want to, if you're Atlanta and maybe you're not great at the Wrecking Ball comps, you know, you can play a double hit scan setup, keep Iris on the Batiste, where we've seen great things from him, and have you know, Gator and Hawk. It's really kind of just down to Gator at this point, right? Play a tank he's more comfortable with.
You can see the damage fall off, plus the recoil recovery on McCree means that gone are the days where he's a true counter to Pharah in the singular sense. Kester, oh my, okay, has to be very careful. Kai can definitely clean his clock if he's not careful. There's a couple health packs around here though, which means he can stay. Pelican again wants to try and pressure Mirror.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get space. I was going to say, how do you initiate without one of, you know, the McCree or the 76 getting a pick at range? Because, like, you know, if you're the Gladiators, you don't exactly have to fight this consistently. This would be a nano boost on the Kevser. As Atlanta gets onto the point, take it back, but they're not in a great position to hold.
Unclear. That could have been a Helix Rocket splashback damage there on the Pelican that caused him to be eliminated. Amplification Matrix in the main atrium here, and Space is forced to step aside for a moment, but Mirror's barrage comes in. I suppose Irish should have checked the weather report there.
Like, you know, for this composition for Atlanta, you have to like slowly move up and kind of take space, right?
Yeah, you put shield down on
the Gladiators don't need to play anybody within line of sight when they control the point if they don't want to, right? The Tracer can just pester, you know, the Pharah can sit at range and just do tons of damage, just chip you away. You're kind of using your defensive cooldowns, whether it's like the shield or the immortality field, just to get in. And then once you're kind of out of cooldowns and you're starting to get chunked down, that's when the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer just come in with the Diva and finish it off. You see it right here, they don't have anything to shoot at.
Kai hoping for something here. Mirror impishly firing rockets over. It's actually Shu that gets punished though, so Mirror gets away from that scot-free despite his extreme audacity. And here's the translation to the point now, but Pelican is inside. Tac Visor taken down by Mirror, who's really wanting to try and get his hands dirty. Iris pressured in the middle of the map. He uses his grab boot straight up into Mirror's face. That's an easy kill for the Pharah. Mirror can now just take his time, enjoy his dessert, as the Gladiators now go up to 70 on the clock.
And maybe this is different if you're Atlanta, if you kind of change some things up a little bit around the Orisa and maybe a little bit more creative. But even then, like, I feel like they're still at a disadvantage playing this, right? You don't even have a Lucio to speed to try and get control of the point first and, like, force fights, right? You have to play so slow at a distances. That'll be the recall out. Kevster work his way back to the point. You have to wait for Atlanta. It's actually Hawk who's hit them with a sleep dart across the map. Now he's back.
Master and Kai playing in the middle of the map. Try and make it so the Gladiators can't use the front door. Pulse bomb on Gator. He has to go gold immediately, but he can't get away. Kevster finishes the job. That's a gigantic pick, but Mirror is also down. We're in the 5v5 now, and Kevster is bloodthirsty. Hunting down Pelican, but the ladder's able to get away and get himself a mini health pack, and Gator's brought back into the fight. What a huge swing for Masa. And the Reign get back in control.
Yeah, Masa ended up pulling out the blaster when he was in Valkyrie. I think killed Shu on the point, but Atlanta flips. They did have some percentage when they flipped for a brief time before. Now they have the Tracer, which the Tracer helps them put a little bit more pressure onto the backline, right? Maybe force the Gladiators to make a play as opposed to being able to play so defensive. Yeah, looks like Muse going for a touch on the point here, trying to draw some players back.
Might also be to challenge Kevster so Kai can actually just worry about Mirror and Mock. This positioning from Shu though, it's nasty. He can get a pretty big bite grenade if he has a good enough angle for it. Mirror does get nano boosted once more, and it's Gator's supercharger that's already been removed. The Pharah look to the skies, comrades. Somebody deal with this threat in the air. It's Mirror continuing to pressure down now on some of the bulkier bodies, and News is traded out. But Masa, crucially, is down. That's going to really hurt the front line of the Atlanta Reign now, and Pelican gets to dive in. Big turnaround despite losing Masa.
Yeah, I mean, you made a great point. Now that they brought in the Tracer, you know, Kai and Iris can really kind of focus on the Pharah, and then keeping, obviously, for Iris, keeping everybody alive. As now Atlanta, it seemed like it was a really strong round for the Gladiators. They're so close, Atlanta, to stealing this one.
Kevster is looking for Iris. He comms it, he doesn't see him on a low level.
Deadeye from the back of the point. Got to be careful. Concussive blast here. Kev's trying to go for the pulse bomb. Great response from Hawk, right? Normally the aggressive Diva, he's got such presence of mind to go back and keep his McCree in the fight. Iris eventually does go down. Kevster gets what he came for at least, and Kai isn't far behind. Master drops in yet again, brings the McCree back into the fight. Someone has to deal with this Farah. Kai removed as soon as he was brought back into the fight, and Kevster now gets to run and frolic through the meadow. Master removed after his heroics of bringing Kai back into the fight here, but it's the rain with the numbers here. Kevster has to try and keep it going all on his own. Hulk thrown out, and he's pulled off the point. The Atlanta Reign will take the first map. Another close fought one, continuing the narrative between these two rival teams.
No, I mean, Pelican's switch over to the Tracer, I feel like really paid off, and there at the end, it was a Supercharger plus Hawk. I feel like Hawk made some big plays there at the end, you know. The eat on the Pulse Bomb, which almost certainly would have killed Kai, and then a self-destruct on the point, I know, getting back in the mech, and then keeping Pelican and Gator alive. Really nice comeback there for the Atlanta Reign.
Atlanta have to be happy with that one. A very sluggish start to that night market round, and they ended on top, and that's all that matters. Stick around, everybody. There's map 2. It's right around the corner.
Heroes never die. Taking the objective.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Despite Mirror's best efforts on the Farah, it was the rain rather that managed to sort of bounce back towards the later parts of Lijiang Tower, and you can definitely put part of that on their backline there. Iris and obviously Masa crucial reses as Kai got dived over and over again. And this match features 4 of our top 10 support players, according to our power rankings with IBM Watson entering this week. So you know how much focus we're going to be applying to those positions, man. Already we've seen some magic.
Yeah, and we're going to see the other support for the Gladiators coming in for this map. So no substitutions for the Atlanta Reign. The Gladiators, they'll bring in Birdring for Mirror, and then we'll have Skewed come in for Moth. We haven't seen Skewed play any of the Mercy, as far as I'm aware. Maybe for a little bit, but really
we
it's
have
been about
seen
the
him
Brig.
play Zen, I think, but mostly Brig, man.
Yeah. So
entirely.
we'll see how they decide to use it. I think if he's going to be in, and we've seen him play the Brig, she would probably play the Zen if anything. And just last year, the map leaderboard here presented by Xfinity, the Atlanta Reign were able to set the fastest time against the Gladiators. That is a really fast time. Just looking through the other ones, I mean, almost 30 seconds ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty egregious.
What were the Gladiators doing in that one? I mean, that is that's not good. When the next highest is 359, and they're like 40 seconds ahead of you. That'll be one I'll have to go back and rewatch. I like watching all of those games, Mitch. I like going back and watching the fastest map times. All the
that's your
Season
attention
1
span.
Dragon games. Yeah,
That's kind of it, right? I feel that. Don't worry. I think that has to be, winning every team fight and just basically stuck in the payload for the whole time. Because Blizzard World, as pretty as it is, the developers really make sure we get a good look at all parts of this map because it's long. For attackers, to have a time bank like that is quite impressive. Just to remind you, these are unavailable heroes. Echo and Ash out of the picture. Sigma, much to Hawk's dismay, unavailable. And Lucio. So, this will be interesting for the Gladiators. We'll talk about the Reign first here because they definitely value Defara here. Maybe not too surprised because, again, we have Gator on the Orisa here, but Pelican's going to have to be a little careful. There's a lot of wide open area here, but the defensive Farah plus the Torbjorn. It's an interesting combo.
Yeah, get the Torb in play. Create the off angles with the turrets. And then they'll still play the Orisa. So these slower, kind of more static-based compositions for the Atlanta Reign. That's kind of what they want to play. And if they can win with it, why not? As the Gladiators, this is kind of what I thought they would do in terms of supports with the Zen and the Break. This is going to be probably Tracer Sombra, yeah. So a Tracer Sombra dive composition with the Zen and the Break. So this is very Shanghai Dragons-esque.
We'll see what Kai can get done on the Torbjorn going up against this. There's a lot of flank pressure, a lot of dive. Kai was really getting the brunt of it in the previous map.
I'll say this though, this is not a comp that is easily dived. What Atlanta is running, you have to be really good and coordinated to dive against the Torbjorn, Batiste, Orisa, and the Diva mix, right? Because if Immortality Field comes out, you're taking tons of damage from the Farah. Very difficult.
Okay, Immortality Field down, crucially. Gator's already fallen here. Shu's able to pick him off. As soon as they break through the defensive cooldowns, it's on for Young and Old, and the Gladiators are looking good. Space goes aggressive, like we expect, and this little turnaround there gave enough space for Gator to be brought back into the fight by Masa, and now in a longer fight, the Reign are able to re-establish themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you lose space. That's extremely difficult, right? He's the protection for really just about everybody with that defense matrix because you're pretty low on healing with the Zen and the Break. You bring the Orisa back into the fight for the Atlanta Reign. That changes everything there. As you try to use, what happened there was Gator was playing on the low ground. He gets discorded. He gets kind of pushed a little bit, backs up. They end up having to use the Immortality Field, and then Discord goes on him again, and then they burn him down. This will be a real big fight for the Gladiators with the EMP in the mix. and Minefield most likely. This is a really good opportunity for them to take the point.
Pelican trying to keep skewed at arm's length here. Not much Skew can really do about that. So the focus of the Gladiators is elsewhere. They blow up Iris here. It will be a resurrect from Masa. Now the Atlanta Reign, they get a longer fight. Let's see what they can do with it. Molten Core used on the point, but Shu is playing as a frontliner and now has the Transcendence. Self-destruct can ignore Transcendence, and it does. Muse still is taken down. That's a pretty big deal. And now the Gladiators try and converge on the back line of the Reign. They know there's still work to be done. I don't know, Iris just seems, Pelican rather, seems just confused as to what happened there. He got taken down, it was space protecting, and now getting 2 with the self-destruct. That's huge.
Maybe that self-destruct may have saved them, because they end up using the rally there, which didn't really seem like there was a chance they'd win that fight, right? But the rally keeps everybody alive a little bit longer, but really it's a big bomb from space that turns at the end, because you had both supports alive, you had players coming back from the spawn for the Atlanta Reign, you had 2 DPS there. It was a very fightable position that Atlanta was in.
Now, I mean, bear in mind here, there's a cooldown that actually activates once Torpstar is killed. You can't just redeploy it. And that is the window, by the way, that the Gladiators were trying to make the most of in that previous fight. It's like 7 seconds, right? It's not that long. But they get in there, they dive in, of course, they have the Sombra to make sure it can happen. They might be looking to do it again. Minefield dropped down. Iris just wanted to try and keep Gator alive, but it was way too much damage. And the Immortality Field comes a second late.
Yeah, and I think the real difference so far has been Shu on the Zen doing a great job just marking targets with the Discord. This will be the Transcendence, trying to keep everybody alive as they finish off both supports. So they're going to be able to get the cart moving again. But I know his Zen with the Discord has added just a lot to this Gladiators comp.
I mean, one of the most impressive hero pools is flex supports. I think that Shu has. There are a few teams that have to sort of, you know, like Dallas, for example, that rotate, repel in to try and fill the role of Zen. As Fielder just doesn't play it. But Shu can do it all, and he does it really well. Here's an EMP to catch us 4. Iris is instantly blown up, and Pelican is going to be struggling to try and get away. Gator is left with 1 HP. And Space tries to go for a remech, and instead is taken down. 4 players still here for the Gladiators on the cart now, and it's up to Hawk and Pelican to try and stall as much as they can. Self-destruct's not a bad way of doing it. Forces all the Gladiators back off. Kevster had to recall. At the last second, he got away from Pelican, who's really trying to get aggressive here, and he's bought enough time for the Reign to get back in with Rally Matt.
Yeah, you're going to have Rally for both teams. Supercharger here for the Atlanta Reign. When the Supercharger jumps down, the Gladiators just back up, even with their Rally. So they trade the Rally for 2 ultimates. Now they can come back and try and get a fight of their own, but there'll be Pelican who takes out Birdring, who swapped over to the Soldier as well. So both teams rocking the 76.
Pelican looking real dangerous so far this series, Matt. Especially when no one's looking at him. It's like, don't turn your back on the Ocean or Pelican. Kevster's able to find a Pulse Bomb kill on Gator, though, and Pelican now realizes that the true threat was stood behind him the whole time. Kevster doesn't have a recall for another 9 seconds here, but still able to stay alive. He gets rid of Pelican. And the Reign now have to die on the card, essentially. Buy as much time as they can. There'll be a Soldier 76 and Wrecking Ball here to stall out. And the pick-up news is actually quite big. Birdring almost dies because of the pile driver and damage from Kai. But the Discord Orb stuck to Gator means he's an easy pick-off. The Immortality Field buys a couple of seconds, and again another Discord Orb applied to Pelican. He recalls. Kevster continuing to focus this Tracer down. Eventually it's Skewed that finds the kill, and the Atlanta Reign just run out of gas on this stall attempt.
It's the Discords again that end up turning the tide, right? Kai gets in, kills 2. If you had access to the overhead map, every target that gets the Discord on them, within seconds they're dead. Just really good focus fire from the Gladiators, able to take advantage of the Discord. And now you see Iris. He's going to switch over and play the Zen as well. You realize how important the Zen damage, the just team damage from the Discord is for both of these squads now.
Haven't gotten a ton of Irish Zen this season so far. Interesting to see how he stacks up against Shu, whose reputation precedes him. Pulse Bomb here for Kevster, redeploys it. Out, he'll catch Iris. That one was on the ground. He'll take it though. Discord Orb definitely goes a long way when trying to get the Pulse Bomb. AoE damage to find the mark. Birdring's got a good vantage point here in all fairness, but most of the Reign have already destroyed the rest of his teammates. So Atlanta stabilized here, and Birdring's going to get run out of town.
Yes, Pelican will clean him up. Kevster gets out, so I was going to say, do we see some changes from the Gladiators? We do, so they'll have Muse play the Orisa here, as both teams want to play the Orisa. the more close quarter area. There isn't really great spots for Wrecking Ball on this point, right? To kind of launch himself off of, and you would not want to play Winston into this, right? Especially with the Zen on the opposite side. So the Orisa is the go-to right now.
A lot more pressure from Iris on the Zen now. Marcel loses his shield for that one. Actually, no, he didn't. He still had a shield bash right after it. Fair enough, he goes down. No, Shu picks him off. The pole spot from Pelican is a game saver, though. Getting skewed and used with that is just massive. He is going wild.
Did somebody, we'd have to get a replay of it, and maybe get it from Skew's POV, but for a second I thought he actually connected with Skewed, and then he shield bashed to maybe try and get away, and then he forward and shield bashed into the back.
It might have been the wrong
Fuse.
direction, yeah. Well, no, it could be the standard shield bash to the Tracer, so she gets stunned and blows up like you take it with you, right?
Yeah, and then kind of got into his Orisa.
It's not great. Gator switches here to Reinhardt. See how that pans out now. Is if you can play corners, it's fine, but if he has to stand at length and deal with the Orisa, he just never has a shield to work with, so it's quite frustrating in that regard. He's got the stick. He tries to charge forward. Now he's kept alive, but only for a short time. Birdring has plenty of damage there with the Helix rocket to get rid of the Reinhardt, and both teams have lost their main tanks now. We are in overtime. Iris taking too much damage, so we couldn't get away. Birdring now going to try and double down here. Kai just got away. He and Pelican just clinging on to life. The Reigns defenders are really sporadically spread across this last part of the map now. The four that remain are trying to play around Gator's shield as much as possible, but that's down to 500 health. But Kai gets Birdring, man. What a big start. The headshot to claim the enemy soldier 76 and the Discord to give them the D-Mech. This is big. Shu fires back and gets rid of Pelican though, but Gator now is in his element. He's swinging for the fence, and the self-destruct creates the space they need. The Reigns shut the door on the Gladiators just at the 11th hour.
I was going to say, eventually they have to stand toe-to-toe with that Reinhardt, though, right? And it's very difficult to do, especially when you're going to have the Orisa versus the Reinhardt matchup. You don't have the space at that point of the map to, kind of play at a distance, and especially with the time on the clock. I do like the Reinhardt switch there for another reason. They tried to actually... the Gladiators have been using the Transcendence pretty aggressive, right? Using it to move up and try and, take some space and, force the Atlanta Reign into... kind of cover and allow to get some payload progress, but Atlanta decided to use their Transcendence offensively and then built it around the Reinhardt. Like when Gator pinned, they had the Transcendence going at that time to try and keep him up through a lot of that. It just wore off there towards the end. They weren't able to get the kills while it was running.
A few teams try and use the Transcendence to let them play forward outside of the rhythm of Orisa putting a shield up. Oh, you stuck the Orisa.
Oh, and then he gets, moved, it looks like. Yeah. That's
now, Hawk isn't credited for that. Right. But he's the one that knocks Muse into Skew by the looks of things. Very nice.
Yeah, and that's so... I love how we're able to get a replay of that, because when you watch it and you see that kind of forward-like movement without actually seeing who gets the pulse bomb, it almost looks like the
shield bash.
Yeah, it's kind of the same trajectory and momentum as a shield bash, but that's actually the pulse bomb on a Muse, and a great play from Hawk to boost him into other players on the Gladiators.
Good looks from the Reign on defense, at least. They'll need to finish the map now. They'll be 2-0 and up. For the Gladiators, that's not what they came for. They might lead in wins and losses over the course of the season, but the Atlanta Reign have had their number in their previous matchup. Hangzhou here for Kai, looking to make use of some of his verticality on the attacker's approach.
Like I mentioned with the Atlanta Reign, they have this
that's
match
big.
Obviously against the Gladiators, is you're going to get Fuse here early. That is not good for the Gladiators.
And that's after he puts a shield down as well. So his shield gets blown up. He's out of position from the concussive blast. It's a Pelican setup. Now what can you do? Birdring doesn't have many safe angles to play from without an Orisa shielding. Pelican, I mean, he's just going for whoever really presents themselves right now. The Reign do need to get rid of these DPS players. Getting rid of Skewed is definitely a good start. The Immortality field doesn't work out for the Baptiste here, but Birdring is a threat. He will be a problem. Pelican takes 2 arrows, and so it's easy for Muse to finish the job. Hawk is still alive, though, and Master's able to get away, but the Reign have been cut down to size now.
Yes, Gladiators come back, and that looked bad for a while, though. I mean, you lose Muse, who's playing the Orisa at the start, and it's very difficult to hold that point. So the Gladiators, they battle back. You're going to have both support ults here, and then Muse comes back on the Wrecking Ball.
Okay.
Not going to play the Orisa here on defense now.
Matt, that also means that he can't just sit around and wait for something to happen. He'll now have to play a little bit more proactively. And you see he's scouting on those hay bales right now, using his third-person view. Not many heroes can do that. Such a nice little bit of tech. And the Sonic Arrow reveals the rest of the rain as they come up now. Dragon Strike through. Everyone just gets away from the Supercharger. Gator happily offers that up. And now, this is the rain. It's the slow roll, Matt. You see they're playing around Gator's ability to put a forward shield up. But they've lost Master here. So now the rain don't want to be able to take their time, or don't want to have to, but they have no choice, really. Immortality Field is slowing them up.
And I feel like this is the Gladiators' best look and kind of opportunity to win in this series. This will be Pelican indoors. He's just hiding from the bomb, but the rest of his teammates didn't get taken out. But like, I don't think you favor the Gladiators in the slower compositions, in the mirrors and stuff, right? When they're both playing the Orisa, like that's what Atlanta Reign wants to play. They don't want to play this like Orisa, the Wrecking Ball, fast-paced Zen compositions. It's just not what they do the best at. But when you're going to play Atlanta in a Orisa Diva kind of matchup, you really like that if you're the Atlanta Reign. So now that the Gladiators have kind of started to get rolling on this comp, this is something I think they should really look to for the rest of the series.
Muse making sure he has an idea of where the rain are coming from, so he can plan out his angle. See, he's going to wrap around the backside now. Oh, it's the minefield. Oh, able to get out of the way. Gator very low though, and Master is, again, just a sliver of health. Great self-destruct over the top. That catches Birdring. It's a very high value kill. The Transcendence has to be used now as the Gladiators are going to try and double down here, but it's gone from bad to awful. Kevster's picked up by Pelican. Iris, again, showing off some of his flair and mechanical skill, dodges away from the Gladiators. As Los Angeles have to get aggressive. They have to all in here to try and find something, and it's not enough to slow up the rain. The rain are being very meticulous here as they approach point A.
Yes, Shu tries to use the Transcendence to save both of his tanks and maybe in a last-ditch effort try and get some picks and turn things, but the bad part is once that Transcendence wears off, he's basically right inside small room to all the Atlanta Reign, but right there he's going to get a pick off on Pelican. So you don't exactly have to play super close at the choke here. You did a fantastic job of the Gladiators of holding on that first point. You're going to be able to just make some noise here at the choke with the Dragon Strike and being able to, pile drive in. You think you get like a hold or two here, you're in a great spot to win the map.
2:16 on the clock. Shu gets another one. Kai has to be brought back into the fight. That's an awfully familiar sensation for him right now. But Shu ain't done. Continuing to pressure the rain out of line of sight. The cart has stalled. Shu wants to, again, keep working his off angle here. Dragon Strike does very little to really dissuade the rain from coming forward.
Be a self-destruct from space just to get his mech back. He actually lost it inside by the Mega. It's another Pulse Bomb eat there from Hawk. He caught that first one on the first map. I know it was huge in turning it for the Atlanta Reign, but 2 kills here for the Gladiators as they're looking to hold.
Shu wants to fight. He wants to fight Pelican, who's going to have to recall away.
He is not scared at all.
Absolutely not. Kevster does well there. He does get his Pulse Bomb even at the start of the fight, and he looks frustrated, but he sticks around, and he's actually able just to rinse out Iris after he goes for the Amp Matrix. So he gets a trade after they lose Muse there, which is a pretty big deal. There's a switch back now to the Orisa, so Muse is maybe fancying something a little bit more safe.
Well, and they also have an advantage in terms of damage on the shields, right? Now you have the Discord in play for the Gladiators. You also have the Hangzhou versus the McCree. The Hangzhou can also control some of the high ground, so you can play a little bit slower here. In Atlanta, they have Masa switch to the Mercy because they want to try and negate some of this, damage that Kevster's dealing from behind. It doesn't work out there, though.
Yeah. Again, third in final blows and eliminations in the league is Kevster. And that's brutal. He runs over Iris once more. And it's going to be another Gladiators one fight. You can see that. It looked like the rain tried to put the Gladiators on a clock there. They sneak Pelican onto the cart. And you see that, from the high ground, Muse is trying to, hold him off or stop him from pushing it. But then the Gladiators go, okay, we'll just collapse on a 5-player roster with, with Pelican sort of using a bunch of blinks to try and avoid the Orisa as he tried to do a mini sort of back cap here. So no call exactly what the issue is right now. Everyone's taking big drinks. Here we go. Water.
Yeah.
See that? Water, water, water. Love to see it.
Well, you have the Mercy switch come in for the Atlanta Reign. That's kind of what we saw here towards the end from Masa. It's just Kevser and Muse are doing so much behind, enemy lines. His space as well, in combo with the Discord, that they were able to just pick off these kills easy. Having maybe that Mercy pocket for whether it's Kai, or Gator, whoever's kind of, even Iris, right? Whoever's kind of, being dove, maybe helps them survive a little bit longer, right? The Valkyrie good to, move up. Also damage boost, right? To try and make up some of the damage that you don't have. The consistent, fast damage like from a Hangzhou Storm Arrows with the McCree damage boost. So you do have an interesting kind of combination here for the Atlanta Reign. Where the Gladiators, they still have the Zen in the mix, right? The Zen I thought was really good on the offense for the Gladiators. Now they bring it in on the defense. It looks good yet again.
Yeah, Shu plays alongside Skewed, and on that off angle, just takes a couple peeks here, sends a volley or two in. He's generating his Transcendences awfully quickly. He just used his, his most recent one there. You keep an eye on him. You give yourself a chance to see how quickly he's able to get that one up. The Gladiators aren't getting a ton of value out of their Dragon Strike so far, but I'm definitely looking to try and, maybe force some positioning. But again, this is what we were talking about earlier on. Kevstar, look, really dominating in the ranks that matter. He's a kind of like... The DPS structure on the Gladiators is a bit of a revolving door, right? So usually not one of the individuals really gets a ton of praise here, but as far as a Tracer goes, like you can't ask for much more than this. You can't say the Gladiators don't have really talented DPS.
No, I mean, Kevser, Birdring are like top flight, right? I think that's the one knock you have on them. Mirror's played, well at times, but how great Kevser and Birdring are. You want to see them in the game as much as possible, right? Where I know Kevser now actually being with the team in person, I think is a huge win, for him and the Gladiators. Just gives them a little bit of a boost now going towards the playoffs. When we get back into this game, by the way, Mitch, only 45 seconds on the clock for the Atlanta Reign. And, you have Gator very low, you have Kai already dead. This is not a great situation for Atlanta coming back into this, where I feel like this was a opportunity, for them to be able to go 2-0 in this series against the Gladiators would have been huge. As the Gladiators, in the past, right, haven't been they've been a team that kind of goes with the momentum, where potentially you go up 2-0. You're looking like you're in a good position to maybe close this out, right, in a 3-0 fashion, where I mentioned earlier, it's important for Atlanta. They play the Gladiators, the Outlaws, the Florida Mayhem, and the Dallas Fuel this tournament. So 3 really tough matches for the Atlanta Reign throughout this stretch.
What is the issue here, really? Because the Reign are getting to kind of play what you think is their preferred comp, right? They get to play Orisa Diva here. Yeah. They have Iris on the Baptiste. Maybe the only sub-idealities is, Masa playing the sort of Mercy here. Still playing the Mercy in what looks like a McCree Tracer sort of framework. So, what's the issue for Atlanta? Because you think that they're kind of doing what they want to do here against an Orisa comp, no less.
Well, they lost a ton of time on the first point. When Muse was playing the Wrecking Ball and the Gladiators playing more of an offensive style, that's where they ended up losing a ton of the time to be able to have a lot of time going in here towards that second checkpoint. Right now, I feel like Kevster's doing a great job of just applying pressure, to Iris and to Kai, and being able to pick up kills consistently with it. I also think Birdring, just the damage on the shield, makes it difficult for Gator to get in position. It dwindles down other resources, right? It dwindles down defense matrix from Hawk, immortality field from Iris. You lose a player, now we have to res, right? And eventually you just kind of run out of things to keep you alive through all of this damage.
Yeah, it's still waiting. I think Hawk's game crashed is the issue. So trying to get Hawk back in game as soon as possible. He should just be able to join pretty happily and go. We're at the point now where we can overcome that stuff, as opposed to Sombra's EMP crashing an entire LAN server in the middle of Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
Those were good times. It's a fun event. So we're back in, and we're good to go, ladies and gentlemen. It was just the Atlanta Reign. Again, another fight where they go for that Emp Matrix, and Iris just gets blown up instantly. See, Pelican's not there. Like, he's not there within the fight. He's trying to backcap.
Right. And you still have Kevster just running around in the back line, just really unaccounted for. Now you come in, you have the Supercharger, right? But you're not forced to fight this if you're the Gladiators. You have a ton of real estate where the cart can kind of, you can play on the cart and contest and force him to use all of these things. And also where the cart is by this bridge, the Dragon Strike is going to be pretty impactful.
Give Birdwing some time to find a pick as well. Okay, so Pelican again, he has to put the clock on this team, but it means he can't be in the fight. Whether it would have mattered or not is unclear, because Gator and Hawk just get completely blown to smithereens now. Kai has whiplash right now, absolutely reeling, and no idea which way is up. And the Atlanta Reign, they get brought to a screeching halt here on Blizzard World, and we credit them with one of the fastest attacking times here. They don't quite look like their 2020 selves, and the Gladiators even up the series, Matt.
No, and you saw the first 2 players dead in that final fight. You had both tanks drop for the Atlanta Reign, and I believe it was Birdwing with 1 onto Hawk, and then you had another kill that happened onto Gator, but he's got no shield and discorded, and says an Arisa just up on the high ground. Nothing the tanks can really get done there for the Atlanta Reign. Puts him in a tough spot now that Shu is popping off on the Zen.
Both of these rosters showing some weaknesses at certain times, at the very least. This promises to be quite a close one, so stick around, everybody. Map 3 is on the way, and this is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.
Over 2 million picks have been made so far this season. And of course, a new tournament means we've got a new bracket unlocked. Can you get a perfect bracket for the Countdown Cup? I mean, cry. I don't know if any of us are really off to a great start there, but you can give it a crack yourself. You can head over to pick'em.overwatchleague.com to submit your picks for this week's matches. A tough week for Pick'ems, no doubt about it. A hard one to call, Matthew, here, and this game is no different. The Reign and Gladiators are deadlocked at 1 apiece after 2 maps.
I'm sure we'll have some type of graphic next week of how many people had the Fusion and then how many people had Boston in the first match. So we are 1-1 going into Route 66 here. One thing to note is we do not have any subs for either of the teams. So the Gladiators staying with Birdring in the game and staying skewed, and Atlanta committing with Kai, right? That's really the only kind of substitution you would see from them. But I think it obviously speaks more to the Gladiators, right? They win that second map. They looked good with the Wrecking Ball stuff. Shu really, putting in work on the Zen, and they were able to run Zen Briggs and Baptiste throughout a lot of the map.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some people expected to see less Kai with Ashe out of the pool, but we know the Kai is quite a deep hero pool. Predominantly, of course, a sort of long-range hit-scan player. He can play the Hangzhou, though. He can definitely show us some looks on the Torb. We saw it earlier on. The McCree is there.
I mean,
the Atlanta Reign looked a little... Sorry,
yeah,
Matt. I was just saying the Atlanta Reign looked pretty average there, I think, on when it came to the attacking side against a team, the Gladiators, who sort of switched to the Wrecking Ball, who were playing a bit more proactively on the defense. They just struggled dealing with the displacement and the all-in potential that the Gladiators were bringing into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, seeing what Atlanta plays and what they've been running, I think it makes total sense to have Kai in the game, right? Where, like you mentioned, really all those heroes like in his wheelhouse, like those are the ones that they would bring him into play anyway. Whether it's like a Tracer, the McCree, the Torbjorn, we were seeing him play during all of that pretty much before. The Gladiators on defense, they'll set up with the Orisa up on the high ground. They do not want to play close here, which I get. Wrecking Ball does really play well, playing very close to the spawn. And then they'll play the 76 again. So some 76 play from both of these teams today. So Atlanta, they'll go with a Tracer Sombra dive with a Wrecking Ball. So we get to see what their Wrecking Ball composition looks like with the Zen and the Brig.
Kai on the Tracer. And you saw Discord Orbs already exchanged. They take the place of pleasantries here between these two, who have no love lost if you look at the match chat. Gator having to get out of line of sight early on here. Wants to try and get as close as he can to Big Earls without taking a face full of damage, because Soldier plus Discord Orb is just a lot you don't want to deal with. Birdring even body blocking here for Shu, just to try and make sure the Zen can be a factor in the fights to come.
Yeah, and they have Shu and Birdring here off to the side, which is a lot of their long-range damage. And then they kind of have the Tracer with the tanks off to the other side, kind of creating a crossfire here as the Atlanta Reign try and get into Big Earls.
Iris is down. Musa's going to be able to find that kill here, and Kev's just sat in the backline after getting rid of Masa. He knows he doesn't really have to do too much more. Not dying would have been preferred for him there, for sure. The space does not quite have a mech back yet. The Gladiators still have a tentative hole here defensively. The Reign will have to try again.
It makes it very difficult for a dive target because you can't just turn your back to the Zen 76. But you also can't turn your back and try and dive and commit when the Orisa and the Baptiste are on the other side. That's going to be a hack, and then it's going to be Iris taking out Shu at range.
That's nice. I mean, no immortality field option there, because you saw Skew got manually hacked there by Pelican, who still has EMP. This is a good start for the Reign. The EMP comes down now. 4 players connected on 2. Not Shu, though, crucially. He'll be able to stay alive. Mew's not nearly as lucky now. Now, Pulse Bomb from Kevston needs to be deployed. The fight's already over.
Yes, the minefield used at the end, obviously just deterring people from going to it, but I don't think they would have anyway, as Atlanta, really good offense. You have some players here, stuck, not dying and trying to get away, but not able to do so. So now you're going to buy yourself some time, maybe being able to get through part of Phase 2 with no defense here from the Gladiators.
Hung around a little bit too long against a composition with as much mobility as the Reign has. Doesn't seem great. It looked like the Gladiators were expecting an attempt at a quote-unquote spawn camp here. Had the rain pushed up towards that high ground. That's why Muse deploys a shield just outside of that little hallway. So the cart moves up. It gets some serious pro. Oh, the hack is big. It's so huge. Kai's able to work Kevster down while he can't blink or recall away to Birdring now. It's a tactical visor. He knows the Gladiators need a foothold here in the second part of the map if they want a decent defense. And so he provides one.
It's, well, it looked like at the start at least it was going to be all Atlanta Rain keeping it going, right? The hack and then the kill on the Kevster is good. But the tac visor. Rarely say the tac visor coming in huge, but right there, that was a good one from Birdring. Stops Atlanta's push, and you would wonder, like, well, maybe you see like you can't really play the Winston, right? If you're the Gladiators on defense, the Wrecking Ball doesn't really play nice on defense here. So you're gonna have to play this Orisa-based composition and just hope for the best. Nice stick there from Kevster on the Masa, though.
Shoes traded out though, and Kai finds a bomb of his own. Both Briggs are down. Out of Transcendence, Iris can't be caught. Kevster is afraid to try and pressure up close. He'll have to wait now, but Birdring again delivers the Soldier 76 performance. A little bit of a meme, I think, until earlier on. Fleta pulls it out and just goes mental, and Scott, I think, is the one that sort of says it's pointless in a VOD review, and then he's proven wrong. But Birdring there, huge. 2 kills in a part of the fight where, again, the Gladiators really needed some big DPS impact. He's providing it.
And Space makes a big play there as well, right? Hawk and Iris are up on the high ground with Kevster. Kevster drops low, doesn't have a recall, and he can obviously get up there and challenge. Space knocks them both down, gives up his mech in the process, but able to get 2 kills out of it.
Space with 2 again.
Double
the self-destruct. Oh, there is a resuit there. The good timing by Hawk to be able to get back in the mech there. But yeah, double melee. He must have just jumped on him there. And Birdring again chimes in. Helix rocket kill on Kai. Nothing to sneer at. And the Gladiators again look like they're really enjoying easing into this defense.
These fights in the comps are just so crazy and vastly different than what we've seen really this year, right? Where we've seen the Wrecking Ball from like the Dragons and some of the APAC teams, but not really in NA. It's just the chaos and everything that reminds you of almost like the triple DPS stuff that the Shanghai Dragons ran to win a stage. That's a 3-player EMP, but it's going to be Kevster the one who takes out Masa, which is huge. I mean, he's building up towards Rally.
I mean, that's his target in every one of these fights, right? Get rid of the Brig with a pulse bomb because she's really hard to kill. She's extremely nuggety to try and break through. Birdring knocked up. There was going to be a minefield there anyway, but instead it's Gator's open arms he falls into. And the Rain get themselves a good fight here. The Wrecking Ball play from Gator was a bright spot in that last fight. And the Rain will get an extension here. 2 minutes 24 to count.
I feel like they keep just, it's not really what, Hawk can go back and help, but Kevster consistently being able to get these kills on Masa. Eventually, it's going to come back to haunt them in one of these fights. This is
no doubt about it. And losing your Brig so early, Matt, it's incredibly punishing. Ryan for Gator here, Matt. Okay, tac visor here from Birdring. This is on the high ground, but they have a Ryan now, the Rain, so harder to find value, one would think. A D-suit on Hawk is probably all Birdring's going to get. He's happy enough with that now as Hawk's gone down after the fact. And Birdring's in a very safe spot here until he gets harassed by Kai. But he just puts a biotic field down and joins his teammates.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious of why the Reinhardt here. Obviously some close quarter fighting areas in this part of the map, but still like long sight lines where you'd like the consistency of the Orisa shield. I mean, look at that, Gator's so low. That's just a Discord in a few shots. It's gonna be tough, I think, to make this Reinhardt work, especially with the Zen.
Another pulse. This one not so successful. Hack on the front line here. Muse in space with no abilities, but Birdring does, and he's making the best use of them from that high ground position. Gator on the Reinhardt. It's curious because it's hard for him to keep any health on that shield. Muse just goes to town on it as soon as he shows himself.
Yeah,
he's
right
still
there.
On the Ryan,
he just gets halted, discorded, and then just burned down by the 76, the D.Va, and the Orisa. So we'll continue with the Rhine. Maybe you feel like if you get him in position with an immortality field, he's able to brawl a bit more, where they don't have an immortality field on the other side, where see what type of angles he has to take to make this work.
And Matrix, look at his shield. Gator's shield, pretty low.
Still, the Gladiators are forced out of position. Gator happy to play on the corner here. Charge comes in. Oh, it's a fortified Orisa he goes straight into. He's not trying to pick a fight with a bronze statue. He definitely comes off second best there, and Iris falling to the self-destruct makes things even worse, Matthew. Kai is not going anywhere.
This is it's like Danny Lim-esque right there, the fearless charge just into the line of fire.
Fearless is a word. Yeah.
Yes, Supercharger plus Tac Visor here available. This should be where the Gladiators close it out.
Pulse in the doorway. Kai can't get through for the time being. Looks like he took a little bit of damage from that bomb regardless. Gator's shield, he has none. Immortality field, it's not enough. He rolls his eyes because he knows there was no hope for him there. And Verduring perpetually flanky right now. The rally really is all that's keeping the rain in this fight, but Pelican's fallen down. Hawk gets a classy remet kill on Muse there. And there's 4 players up for the rain. They might make some extra progress now. Gator has to come back on the Wrecking Ball though, because the run experiment has, well, it's failed.
It's a huge remet kill though, right? Gets the Orisa off the cart. Now you start to keep it moving if you're the Atlanta Reign, where you have a realistic chance here. Just the it's just a self-destruct here for the Glads. They're gonna make a switch here at the end with the Sombra in the McCree is Dragon Strength through the right-hand side. That's gonna get the Orisa.
That's so punishing. He was definitely in spawn at the time. That's really not what we want to have happen now as the Gladiators. Oh, they paved the way for a full hold or something similar to that, at least on the last phase of the map, Matthew. But losing that Orisa in the dying moments, the Atlanta Reign break through after spinning their wheels for so long. That's a great result for a team who's just tried everything so far that round to get through.
It did look like they were not going to get anything there when they had the Reinhardt in play, right? He was just getting discorded and burned down, and then they're able to make something out of the fight. Really big rally from Masa, kind of keeps everybody even in that fight for the Atlanta Reign. But then they make some switches, they come back, and they're able to get the card to the end. That is a huge win there for the Atlanta Reign. Like, if you're this team right now, you have to be extremely happy with how you did on that offensive side, because you figure, the defense will treat you a little bit nicer with what you want to play.
That's what the Reign fans are banking on right now. As we've seen how they've, matched up against the Gladiators when the Reign have had a chance to defend. It seems more comfortable, but cast your minds back to Blizzard World. We talked about those little windows where there's no Torp turret to deal with there. The Gladiators had the Sombra and the Wrecking Ball, and they just piled in. And it seemed like it really didn't matter where Gator was standing in some cases. He would just be circumvented. Here, the Reign will opt to play close. So unlike the Wrecking Ball defense from the Gladiators, the Reign have grind here. And they love to shave some clock early in the round, Matt.
And the tough part with this is you don't have the Lucio, right? Obviously, removed with hero pools.
Deleted.
To get the speed boost and get up into the face of like one of the players, right? Because let's say a dive came in or something like that, you would want to just speed and try and take down whether it be Skewed or Shu. It's going to be very painful to try and do that now. As you see, Gator's shield is gone, taking loads of damage. Able to get Bird Ring though, just stay a little bit too long.
Yeah, nicely done from Gator. He really has to manage that shield resource effectively. And it was just a wayward swing that sort of caught Birdering. You thought he was safe. That was definitely not the case. And now the Gladiators will have to deal with the Reign on the high ground. Atlanta don't want to be flanked like they just were. So they'll try and set some high ground presence up. And the Gladiators have to roll it back and try again.
Oh, Muse almost got knocked off the map. He's able to get back on. So this is such an odd positioning. As that's going to be an Ant Matrix in the truck. Iris saves players with the Immortality field there from a pulse bomb. As Atlanta has taken this position and made it very difficult to break thus far.
I mean, yeah, trying to get into this bunker is going to be very, very difficult. The Reign have just turned up with like a bunch of munitions, and they're just throwing them. The Gladiators here from this train cart. Space removed there after the DMAC. He went off the map. That will happen. Hawk, nice boot. How do you bust this bunker?
They try and flank, right? And the Torp turret's just there to spot. And you have both supports. Like, look at this. Both supports on this flank for the Glads. At this point, though, do you even need to go back and deal with them, right? Maybe the Zen you're kind of worried about. But if the Brig is up here just alone, who cares?
Oh, nice boot. Great Wrecking Ball play there from Muse, who goes straight up the middle of the train cart. Gator gets taken down now, and Iris lost his immortality field a little bit too early. Shu again
rally,
playing
though.
from the most aggressive position possible, right? He's in the flank. It's so easy for Hawk to just line him up and get rid of him. But still, it looks like the Reign's plans have been foiled for now. They'll, again, try and keep burning clock down, but that kind of looked like how you chose the hero pools for this stage, Matt. This is the marble race. Muse just ran straight up the tube and knocked them all out.
Still good defense, though, from the Atlanta Reign. Having the Gladiators have to use the EMP and Minefield to basically get out of the spawn, that's a huge win. I mean, you're one fight away here from the Atlanta Reign to getting a full hold, potentially, or a scenario where you can full hold, right? One fight win here. Yeah, one fight win here, and you're in last fight territory.
Gator has an Earth Shatter. I think just one target he'd be happy with. The Wrecking Ball would be excellent. We're able to find that. Yeah, look, constantly being harassed by this double flanker setup. Yeah, they're sat inside, right? There's a bit of whipped cream out there on the cart. So no one's stepping up for the time. Yeah, Muse gets caught there. Not by a shatter even. It looks like Kai's flashbang locks him up. Another great result for the Reign. Again, they're loving life when they get to defend.
Oh, yeah. It's, now you look at the Gladiators, right? What do you even have? You're going to have to build up towards an EMP Transcendence, right? They'll try and potentially not have Hawk or Kai get hit by it. They're playing pretty far away from each other, right? If they EMP and then start to dive, you could like use a self-destruct on your back line, right? Toss it back towards your team, prevent some of that dive, or Deadeye at range. We'll see how they decide to play against this. Birdering trying to survey where players are at.
Oh, he runs into the shatter. He had an EMP available now, and that's not going to be an option. Huge pick from Gator, who's honestly just had the short end of the stick for most of the series so far. Finally gets a chance to show his dominance on the Reinhardt, and my God, he looks good. Still, Birdie's going to have a chance to return to the fight. Kai's taken down by a pulse bomb here, and it's going to be another molten core over the card. Can anybody from the Gladiators touch now? Taking a lava bath in order to do so. Birdering can. He stands on top of the card here. Muse is down. There's a D-suit on Hawk, allows the Gladiators to pick him up. The Shatter is a great start for the Reign, but eventually the Gladiators, they push on over the top.
Oh, I feel like that's a huge missed opportunity for the Atlanta Reign because the win condition, even to get out of the spawn, was the EMP for the Gladiators, but the Glads just had to throw everything else at it. Rally, Transcendence, Self-Destruct, the Minefield, just to get the cart moving. I think if you're Atlanta, though, you still have to feel really good about your position. You can still play close up with this Reinhardt. So you see Gator just trying to get a position over on the side.
Okay.
Gets 3, but nobody's in position to help.
I mean, Space gets there, but it's too late. It's just way too late. There's a mega health pack in that room, so much of the damage that was done there by Birdering is just immediately healed.
I mean, you're so far away from making a play there. And then once like Birdering translocates, you just leave basically a half-health D.Va and a Wrecking Ball like out to dry there on the point where it's literally like the Atlanta Reign, like that's an engagement that's started by the Gladiators, right? They didn't really have to work for that hold, right? It's the Gladiators that played that poorly. Now they switch and they'll have the Hangzhou in the mix. So this is going to give them even more shield break and damage with the Zen combo, trying to get Gator off of this Reinhardt.
Kept at the immortality field, foiling many of his plans, but it doesn't matter. His teammates get the job done elsewhere. Master just gets knocked off the map by Skew. Bonk. Gator is brought down now. The Gladiators. Okay. Still in a position to make this a competitive map, Matthew, but this next fight has to be an outstanding dub for them. The kind that you have to ascend 50 floors to appreciate, boss man. That kind of dub.
So, and what do you have to leave this as well with the Gladiators with some ultimates, right? Like, right now you just have the trance and you're probably going to get the rally. But even then, you invest both of them and you somehow win it. Look at Atlanta. They just hold on to some of these and they end up winning the map because they completed the map already.
Ooh.
That's a big
That's cheeky. And that looked like it was vertical as well. Birdering picks over the top there. Shu is also in such an annoying spot and has Transcendence available. You'll need to stay alive in order to use that, but right now Gator, he's screwed. There's nowhere to look for him. Here's that Transcendence. Kai. All right. That's very long range. He gets skewed though. Nice little pick. But Master and Gator have already gone down and Kai needs to get involved in the fight post-haste.
Without Hawk, he doesn't have any protection, so now it's just all throttle. He gets chased down. It looks like Kevster's just ripping at him while he's being healed up at long range there by Scoot. It's not enough. The Gladiators to get there, Matt. 90 seconds left to play with.
It's pretty decent for the Gladiators, though, right? Atlanta ends up investing a lot of their ultimates into that fight. The respawn's pretty far away for Atlanta here, because they're all going to spawn up together. The card will get moving probably to that first corner. But obviously no speed to get the Rhine in position with no Lucio in the mix, so they're going to have to get creative. If you can create some space here for the Gladiators, you're a shot to make it work. That's going to be a shatter, though, that gets 2.
Follow up though, not quite there, and that's compounded by the Dragon Strike. That really means the Reign have to pause for thought here. As defenders, they may not want to play from this position for too long, and Kevs has been able to flank the flankers. See how they work around that now. Pelican was overloaded for a moment and does let the Molten Core go. But the Reign stabilized here now as well. Looks like they control that space effectively.
And this gives him a better spot to play that Reinhardt, right? Not having to walk down the street by the truck with the Reinhardt, into the Zen. They can play these corners, right? And just, have the Reinhardt there for just extra damage as the Gladiators try and close the gap. That's what they want to do, is they're going to back up this next corner. They got an Amp Matrix to use with a bomb.
Transcendence may not save the Gladiators if they have to face first an Amp Matrix. Iris, though, uses it there just to force back the Gladiators. It works, but Kevster always finds his way through. Boot back, has to recall. Pulse Bomb still available, though. He's looking at Iris, who has to use Regenerative Burst. No, the Hangzhou's a better target. The stick is good as well. Gator having gone down means things are going to be a little bit tough for the Reign in the coming moments. And Kevster is free to get rid of Pelican. The Gladiators have a chance to finish this map in overtime now. Who would have thought 2 minutes ago they'd be here?
And I think the question for Atlanta is, do you play this? Do you come out of the spawn on this again? Do you try and play like a Wrecking Ball maybe with this? Try and get in position a little bit better? Looks like for now they've just committed to it. You're going to have Dragon, you're going to have the Molten Core, and probably a Shatter here. You have a lot of ultimates to be able to hold.
Dragon Strike means an Immortality Field is required quite early in the fight, but Birdring's gone down. Kai's able to find him with a Storm Arrow headshot, and here comes the Dragon Strike. Space has no choice but to take most of the damage from that, and Shu is also removed. It's overtime. The Gladiators can't leave the card, so the Atlanta Reign make them. They'll take Route 66 after a very uncompelling first half, but the Reign just looked better on that defense.
A huge map win for Atlanta. I mean, you look at how this series has gone so far, right? Everybody really, outside of Johnny and Zoe, I think would have predicted the Gladiators, just because everybody assumed that this would be a terrible meta for the Atlanta Reign. And Atlanta has made things work so far in this series, putting together some impressive compositions against the Gladiators. Gladiators in real trouble going in this next map.
Absolutely. The Reign look extra dangerous now. It seems like they can still play the way they want to. And I'm quite sure they'll be back to the brains trust to formulate an approach for this next map, because they do not want this to go to map 5 again. And they'll be working to avert that situation. The Gladiators, however, they're trying to hang on here. That's the kind of map loss that really takes the wind out of your sails, especially after finding so much success on that Wrecking Ball setup. Stick around, there's more of this series to come, and this is not one you want to miss.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
quite a relieving result for fans of the Atlanta Reign, because you probably found out that your team still gets to kind of play what they're comfortable on, or at least something that approximates that. We did get to see Kai play that sort of Hangzhou we teased towards the end of Route 66 and actually found one of the most important kills on that map there in that last fight. The Gladiators start well. Their defense, that they're playing aggressively here. They don't go for a forward hold. It looks fine.
Right.
But then, Matt, the Reign turn around. They play a spawn camp style defense. They buy 2.5 minutes. And then they manage to finally just choke out the Gladiators towards the end of the map.
Yeah, it's been really impressive with the way that Atlanta has played. Like I talked about, you know, the meta, what we thought would be the meta, obviously still developing. We didn't think would really suit them that well, but you know, they've come in today and shown some really nice looks. You know, bringing in a Reinhardt, although I think against the Zen sometimes I don't think it really like pays off, but maybe in certain parts and certain maps it does. And I think really, you know, it kind of solidifies, at least for me, you know, I think Atlanta is going to be able to figure this out, right? They may not be, you know, as good as they've been, you know, on some of the other metas, but I don't think they're going to kind of fall off a cliff. I really wonder about the Gladiators, man. You know,
Sure.
8-4, right? You're still a very good team, but this is a team that people were predicting to win the league. Like, people were predicting this team to be, like, one of the best in NA. Which, you know, they haven't made it to Hawaii yet, although we've only had, what, 3 different teams represent for NA in Hawaii. So you expected the Gladiators and, like, even, like, the Shock, right? You can't, like, let them off the hook either to kind of be in that running where we haven't seen them this far. And I think it's definitely, like, you know, at this point in the season, I think they were joking around with the Valiant about on the show, like, when are the Valiant going to get a win? Like, well, you know, it's, if they were going to get better, they would have gotten better by now. I think we're hitting that point in the season where you have to kind of look across all the teams and say, like, you know, this team is what they are at this point, right? You don't know where you can go from here if you're the Glads.
Yeah, I mean, we give a lot of levity to rosters in the early part of the season and say, okay, we'll see where things go. We'll see how this pans out. The first week of every qualifier, right, is always really hard to predict and quite bizarre because, frankly, we've seen meteoric shifts in composition and meta every single time. Every time we've had this, we've had upsets and teams not getting the results you expect them to, and it tends to normalize somewhat towards the end of the stage. But the Gladiators are the kind of team that can go like 4-0 in one qualifier and then go 0-4 in the other. Like, you know, it's so hard to predict sometimes sort of how this team goes, and they've had high highs and low lows here. The knockouts are, okay, well, look, you can accept that they don't have to go to Hawaii to be a factor in the playoffs here, but it's winning the important matches that they've not done, right? They win a lot of their sort of regular season games, have a good record. I would consider this is an important matchup. It's getting rid of a rival who, frankly, was just a little better than you last time you went head-to-head. And map 5 here is the bare minimum of expectation for the Gladiators.
And the Gladiators pull out the Winston here. So you want to play aggressive. Ball is not great here. So you bring out a Winston. And this is going to be Sombra Genji. And then on defense for Atlanta, they'll play the Orisa yet again with the Torb and Afara this time. You know, not a standard composition by any stretch of the imagination, but I know as we've seen more teams really kind of opt to play Pharah, right? Very strong currently. And then they combo with the Torbjorn, which is very anti-dive with the Orisa shield. So interesting adaptation here for the Atlanta Reign.
I mean, we've seen plenty of teams play Winston against this like anti-dive comp, and it could work, but you have to play really specifically as Winston. You play around the displacement that you have, and you just don't overcommit ever. Masa goes down here, so this is a great start. There's not a lot of healing available from Iris, but once you start to get that displacement occurring, or get, you know, a nano boost on your Winston, you can really start to cook with gas, and that's the plan here. Muse wants Iris badly. He's going to have to wait a couple seconds here to get his jump, and he'll set off for the displacement, Matt. Again, he forces back the Reign, tries to split the Torbjorn off, but I mean, you're picking a fight with an overloaded Torb. That's a lot. But the Gladiators have players on the point here. Pelican's got to do something big.
And a brutal start here from Masa as everybody else just drops. You know, he gets picked off early on the Mercy, then comes back from the spawn and goes for a res, gets the res, and then dies immediately right after. Didn't even make it back near the point, because the push was coming in from Muse in space. EMP available here, EMP plus Blade. The Gladiators could be looking to set a really good time.
Birdwig just wants Pelican. Okay, so yeah, obviously no EMP there. Maybe trying to find the pick, but looks like the Gladiators tried to follow up on that Varus positioning, but just couldn't find it. So back to the drawing board. They'll have to reset here. Maybe slightly wishful thinking, but I like the idea. Pelican, got to be careful. And that's an EMP comes out there from Birdring. Birdring has no idea who he got with that, but I mean, he gets the front line, so he's very pleased. Pelican went down with the barrage available, and Kevster still has a Dragon Blade to spend. He knows this could be a longer fight. They're trying to play against these stall mechanics now. Shurikens against a fortified Orisa, not an easy target to find, but sees Pelican. Here's the blade. Got to get rid of the Orisa, and they do. Gator really hasn't been a factor in that fight. And that's Pelican also falling. Kevster getting maximum value, and that's 2 ticks already for the Gladiators here on this point. And now it's just stall, just the dregs. A self-destruct to buy some time, a remake there from Hawk, and Gator's back on the ball, but Kevster is not being looked at. Nobody's bothering with the Genji, so he's in a great spot, Matt, to find some easy damage. They won't even have to.
Yes, a 4-minute time bank here for the Gladiators, so they're able to move away from the ball compositions, play the Winston here. Sombra Genji looked really strong. I think though, like if you're able to play this for the Gladiators, you should be able to play, Kevster on the Tracer and play like Tracer Sombra at a high level with the ball. I feel like that still should be a composition that, just like this one, you should excel at. So we'll see what the Gladiators decide to do now on defense. Then maybe the Orisa composition yet again. From the Gladiators, maybe like the Orisa with the Diva. I wonder what you see out of Kevster and Birdring. You could play the Winston here as well if you wanted to for the Gladiators. That's not out of the question, but they'll play Farah Hangzhou defense. Interesting.
Huh. So they're going to actually play fairly separate from this Muse setup here, and Space is going to be extremely busy defensively. Pelican, oh, he's in spawn. He walks out, switches. Nano Blade, yeah, you have 150 HP as Tracer. It is maddening sometimes. You just die and you have no idea why.
Let me make this easier for you by going from 250 HP down to 150.
That's brutal stuff, yeah. Just went for the switch, lost all his ult charge, and then he sat spawn for another 10 seconds. All right, the Rain, look, previously looked much better defensively in this series, but it's a different map where different compositions can shine. The Rain want to use the ball on attack, Matt. Something you said isn't great here.
It's just a lot harder than, let's say, playing a Winston, right? You're going to have like the ball kind of go off to the side on his own, come back around, then kind of coordinate like a dive on the bridge.
Okay.
Kevster's just floating around on the ground and he's dead. That's a terrible thing for the Gladiators.
I think Pelican triple hit him, I think.
I mean, sure, but like, you're far with a mercy pocket. Like, maybe a few seconds alive at the choke. I think you'll take that. Well, we see the Gladiators switch right away, so they're gonna go back to the Winston. This time playing Tracer Sombra like I talked about, but look at this. You're gonna reset a lot of these ultimates. You're gonna have a Nano here for the Rain. Like, is the Nano alone just enough to get this done? As we move away from Genji and see Reaper now. So obviously Reaper very strong against this Winston. You Nano Pelican may get him in position that could be bad for the Gladiators.
Also, just getting him into the back line here is, we've seen plenty of, Reaper's just TP straight forward behind front lines. Just try and get kills before, any sort of defensive cooldowns can be used against them. That was like a manual hack attempt on Iris. He connected, but he already got the Nano boost away. And they're all looking at Muse right now. Nano or not, he gets just completely blown up. And the Rain want a slower push here. Now, they need a couple more kills if they really want to be able to start this cap properly. Because they need essentially a bit of a team wipe here. Kai not happy with that. He recalls away, not able to find his target here. And the Atlanta Rain is starting to stall out.
Yes, they'll have to back out now as Gladiators playing up close. This is like a composition and a kind of play style we saw from teams in the past here on Temple of Anubis, right? Playing really far through the choke. As Pelican now will play Sombra. So Tracer Sombra matchup for both sides. And then Iris now will play the Zen. So some extra damage here for the Atlanta Rain.
All right, Discord hit pretty nasty on Space. So let's see how much impact Iris can have against the Sombra Tracer comp with a Winston. Manual hack? No, nothing. Pelican looking, got his jazz hands out, but couldn't find a damn thing. And already Masa and Iris are down. And that's the risk you take. You're playing against the composition that's so hostile to less mobile backliners.
Yeah, and if they can't keep Iris up and do enough damage to like kind of burn down Muse with the Discord, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And right now for the Gladiators, you're stacking up these ultimates and there's no reason to use any of them. The Atlanta Reign have not really put that type of pressure on you just yet.
We're down now to 3 minutes and 56, so the Reign fall behind the Gladiators in time bank. For now, Birdring's looking for another chance to make this EMP count. Big part of the Gladiators being able to take point B so quickly. But I think at the very least he wants Iris, right? Rally and play. Okay, EMP comes out anyway, and they get Iris. They just blow him up. Birdring traded though. Okay, so your EMP just gets you to Zen. Is that enough?
I actually think he thought that Iris had Transcendence. Because he doesn't just come out of Invis and EMP, he like comes out of the Invis and then waits a second and maybe kind of like tries to force Iris into using the trans and then translocate. But when Iris doesn't use it, he ends up popping the EMP, and it's not really as well executed as you'd hoped. If you're the Gladiators.
Yeah, it's a little early to have EMP, but I guess it's within the realm of possibility. Especially if you're getting Discord damage onto a, God, I don't know, a Winston or a D.Va. But he didn't have it, he does now. And that EMP is a long way away from being available once more. Pelican, however, is much closer. And that should be something you keep your eyes on in this next fight. How does Pelican limit the Gladiators' ability to stall and defend? Hughes is able to get a Primal Rage off, so I'll see that EMP have to come later in the fight now. Transcendence is in play for the Atlanta Reign. Master's hit with a biotic grenade, though, when he gets taken down. Space does well to identify. There's no healing available for the Brigitte. Great defense from the Gladiators, man. Love to see that. Pelican has no chance or inclination to EMP.
Yeah, and with what was a, 4 minutes plus time bank here,
6
potentially. 6 minutes, yeah. I mean, they took it so fast. We're down to 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay! This point of view is, okay.
The bags are out. Birdring picking up some kills again. You're gonna have this other EMP. This is looking like we could see a map 5 with the way things are going currently. We're looking highly likely for that 5th game.
Like I said, Matt, bare minimum for the Gladiators. That was where we went last time. And these two teams played each other only, what, 2 weeks ago? 2 and a bit weeks ago at that. So they're running this back awfully soon in a different meta. But both teams look like they are evenly matched. Kevster, though, just explodes from the periphery. And Iris, nothing he could do about it. That EMP from Birdring had much better follow-up.
Yeah, it's, everybody kind of collapses. They are worried a little bit, the Gladiators, about Pelican being behind. They know that he's here. I know a few
they have to know he's got EMP, Matt.
Yeah, a few players have gone back to spot check and stuff and see if they can kind of get him out of stealth. But Pelican, all he can do is really kind of run back and forth between his team. I think he's in a tough spot because he wants to get an EMP off, but he's also the one who would probably be here in a position to contest. That's Gator going in with a minefield there. In a minefield to the point, but there's nobody else there.
Okay, there might be something here, though. Kai's able to find the pulse bomb kill on Skewed. Gets rid of Muse as well. So the Reign trundle up onto the point now with 37 seconds left in the round. They've beaten them batter, but they still have a chance to force extra innings. But Shu has a nano boost here. Birdring immediately eliminated. He got hacked, so no chance to go for an ice block. And it's Space that gets the nano just to keep him in the fight. Gets a lot of damage on Hawk. Forces a D-Mech. Space was hoping to try and keep his mech alive a little bit longer, but that's not going to be an option. Shu gets Hawk before he remechs, by the way. That's a big deal. Gator now needs to follow up and do something about this backline, but he's put to sleep instantly. The Sandman cometh, and Shu is commanding the troops from the backline. Transcendence now has to be used by the Reign because this is their last and best chance, and they've lost Master instantly. Birdring pops him like a balloon, and Space is going to chase Gator away. Adaptive shielding does keep the ball durable, but he runs straight into Space. He picks him off. Pulse Bomb's going to cause the D-Mac now, but there's still a rally in play for Skewed. Space stays alive, and now Muse dives on the D.Va. Hawk's in trouble. No one to help. It's only Kai on the point to try and keep this going for the Atlanta Reign, but they are out of troops, out of players, out of gas, and out of time.
And it's going to be the Gladiators forcing that Game 5. And you know, just tremendous stall there from the Gladiators. And even if they would have given up the point there, they still got the job done by getting us to overtime, right? Where there's 0 time on the clock, where it would have been a Gladiators offense, which you really would have liked their chances with their time bank and how things went the first time. And Kevster coming in to clean things up here at the end. The Doomfist was also impactful as a switch late from Birdring forced us a Game 5.
Nicely done there for the Gladiators, and both these teams have shown that while their attacks sometimes look a little toothless, they know what to do when it comes to defending. And it's suitable that our decider map in this series would be a control map. So hang about, everybody. Another map 5 between these two teams who are so close together in standings. I mean, it all comes down to this. Stay tuned.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And of course, in a matchup between two teams, I would say, whose rivalry has definitely been carved out with a lot of sweat, with a lot of blows traded.
There's no better way to end a series like this than to have it go to map number 5. And Control in map 1, cast your minds back those many hours, was extremely competitive. What a perfect way to cap off a series that features 2 teams leaving everything out there to try and secure their spot in playoffs and maybe even a trip at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think it's more important for the Gladiators to have like a Hawaii run, right? They haven't been there yet. I think it also kind of gives them some more confidence going into playoffs. Where Atlanta, they've already been there back-to-back. As we do have some subs. Mirror will come in here for Bird Ring, and then Moth back in for Skewed. So this tells you that they want to commit to be playing the Forum Mercy pretty much the entirety of this map 5, which will be Oasis, which is a pretty decent Forum Mercy map.
Absolutely, Matt. With the exception of maybe University, in which it can be a little bit harder to get value, but we've definitely seen our fair share of teams, get value out of Farah, even on a more enclosed space like that. But I mean, we get City Center, we get Gardens. Yeah, you can definitely count on it. Maybe some Sombra play as well. I reckon something tells me Bird Ring's played almost more Oasis maps than anybody in this series on account of the fact that his team always used to go to map 5 in season 1.
Yeah.
It always seemed to be Oasis where they'd play all 3 rounds. And it always came down to Sombra play. But again, this is a 7-5 team versus an 8-4 team who both want to start their campaigns here in the Countdown Cup on a high note. There is a lot more riding on this match than meets the eye, Matthew.
Yeah, these teams are so close. In terms of just record and seeding in North America, like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. Like I believe the Boston Uprising are now they have 7 wins as well. Like the Paris Eternal are up there. Like after seeing both of them in the last series, right? You have a lot of teams at this 7 to 8 win mark in North America.
In the dying seconds now, these teams will have a chance to again reaffirm their choice of composition. The Pelican versus Mirror head-to-head was exciting on Lijiang Tower. We might get to see a redo of that here. A wrecking ball for both sides here. And it will be kind of Soldier 76 here, so you might see him play a little separate from the rest of his team, whereas Kev's on the Tracer will do the same, but in a different way.
You also have, not just talking about the Atlanta Reign. They're trying to obviously stay away from getting closer to 500. Now, the Gladiators, you win this, you're tied in wins with the Shock, right? Trying to get into that top 3, which is even more impactful. Is Kai trying to put some pressure on the far at a distance on the 76. Just isn't really working right now, and has to be careful. Kevster looking for a dive on somebody's solo.
Recalls instantly there. Must have felt the threat of the Helix rocket from the Soldier 76 of Kai. He didn't want to stick around and find out if he had that on cooldown or not, apparently. And Pelican's been playing quite safe this round, playing from about this range until now. I guess he's seen space, wants to try and pressure him down a little bit. All the Reign are sticking together for the most part here, which gives the Gladiators some point presence. Mirror's put to sleep, though. This could be dangerous. Big connection from Iris. Can they get him out alive? Yes, but Shu is not so lucky. And now the Gladiators have lost most of their healing and a lot of their air pressure. So now Pelican can go to work. Beautiful direct hit.
And I think the Atlanta Reign have kind of they were joking a little bit about it in the lobby where Kai was like, you guys are only going to dive me. That is a res there. That's not going to happen. The Gladiators go all in to try and dive Kai there. They had Mirror, Muse, Kevster, all in position. And I think, the first map we saw them play a lot of the, this will get rezzed up surely. They played a lot of the McCree. 76 doesn't have that kill potential as McCree, but he can definitely kind of get out of trouble a little bit easier, right? Provide himself some healing, the sprint back to teammates, more mobility. You may lose some kill potential, but I think, having the 76 here definitely helps keep Kai alive a little bit more.
He really taxes healing resources over time, and against a comp that has a Mercy pocketing Farah most of the time, it's tough for the Arna to keep up with his damage sometimes. Kevster playing through the middle of the map. That pulse bomb was unsuccessful, but he'll hide behind his friendly minefield. And Pelican wants to wrap around here. He looks to be the aggressor now, but Moth is just able to get away. Constantly coming from unexpected angles as Pelican, but Space is keeping tabs on him. The Pelican will have to stay out of the fight for now. He's happy with that. The Reign have a good lead here, and Mirror goes too far. Kai brings him down now. He tries to accost the Soldier at range. Is he mad?
Well, they tried to put some more pressure on him again. I mean, they had a mirror there. Muse got slept twice going to try and get on Kai. And then once they finally get to him, they just nano him. And everybody's so weak because, you know, all three of those players are dedicated to making that happen. You know, for the Gladiators, they just leave, like, space out to dry to try and protect everybody else, which eventually there's going to be a hole open.
Big job, no doubt about it. There's an Anubis now to Mirror. Needs to come up with something big, and that is a great connection on a Pelican in midair. Master, I mean, you know Master will choose violence if he has the option. Goes for the Glock there, but against the nano-boosted Farah, those shots are just going to glance off harmlessly. And the Gladiators get in control here, but I mean, it's 97-12, so this had better be a squeaky clean defense.
You know, we almost saw that on Lijiang Tower, right? Where, you know, they kind of got to 99 and then brought it all the way back. Into flipping, I believe, at the end, but the barrage here, you use the barrage by the choke. So look for the self-destructs though. Like, I feel like you're in a prime position, especially on, you know, this point and with how chaotic the fights are and players all over the place, for somebody to get like a big self-destruct to maybe end this one out.
Kevs is really banking on a big pulse bomb connection here. Getting rid of Iris would be monumental. Can he find him? Iris, okay, doesn't have to. Iris actually goes early and uses a biotic grenade for himself there. And so Kevster waits it out and just burns him down. Great timing to be in the right place as Muse dropped in.
They are hunting down this far Mercy combo. They're able to make it out, but everybody on the map for the Gladiators just beelined over towards that side. 6 ults here for the Rain. This is theirs for the taking right now. Everything available to be able to do it.
Gator scouting that left side. Sees Kevster, if I'm not mistaken. The pulse bomb's still a factor. He didn't have to use it previously, but it's going to have to go for it now. Kai looking for a target to work down here with his tactical visor. They get Space's mech and Gator finishes the job. Moth has to go for Valk. I think they really want to try and bring their Diva back into the fight, but Moth may not have a chance to do this. Instead, trying to Glock Pelican, who just walks away. And both Anas are down. It's all about the Mercies right here and right now. Shu is brought back into the fight. Master did the same for Iris, so the Anas are back in town. And Mira goes for a pretty wishful barrage. He's still able to find Kai with the help of Shu, but Kai had already found 2. The Rain now have a solid footing on the point, and Gator's trying to take care of business himself. Meanwhile, Master hangs back. Wants to keep Hawk in the fight as long as possible now. If he can get Moth, that would be huge, but the mini health pack was there. Moth is trying to dodge away, but there's no one there to help him. Doesn't matter where he goes, he's still bade a fond farewell. Still 99 now in overtime. Space's mech is removed once more. He again goes down, and Kevster has a blink away from the rocket, which means blink away from the point.
Is Atlanta able to flip it there at the end? Not all too surprising though. You know, 6 ultimates available at the time. You know, Nano, a minefield, like some really powerful stuff to be able to flip the point. But I definitely think the Soldier made an impact there. You know, having the 76 be a little bit more, you know, self-sufficient and survivable than like a McCree. But it looks like Atlanta potentially going to the McCree now if they're going to play the Sarissa a little bit slower.
It's an option on this map. You can shuttle this high durability, low mobility comp in a position without taking too much poke damage on the way. There's still the issue, of course, of the displacement that Muse will be able to cause.
Right.
Maybe the Orisa, though.
Yeah, if you're gonna play, if you can play the Orisa with the Batiste and the Brig, then you can play the McCree, right? Because he's not, no, he's not a dive target on an island alone. You still see though some rockets connect on the Kai early, and they have to wait, heal him up.
Can the Rain get value out of the McCree pick here? Mira knows better than to play within Kai's line of sight, and Gator is getting peppered right now from all angles. Mira's concussive blast could also be a problem, but he just catches Masa. I don't even know if that was intentional, but he gets him anyway. Muse is removed though, and that is what this cop looks to do. Get rid of the Wrecking Ball early, take that pressure factor away. It's a 4v4 here, and now Mira gets some attention from Kai. He drifted too close to McCree's optimal range.
Yeah, and you have an Ant Matrix here used as well. Probably didn't need it. Everybody backs up for the Gladiators. But what Kai did there, which was interesting, as you know, Pelican and Kevster were battling. Kai actually turns and lands a shot, which forces the recall and forces Kevster all the way back to the team. That's when Kai turns and starts to focus on the players in front of him. So A lot of what happened earlier in the series was like Hipster was putting a lot of pressure, you know, to take away from Mir in the sky. Kai was able to focus on some of the players in the points. Now, though, you know, Mir gets Kai first, and then a big barrage trying to seal the deal with a point flip into the glass.
Great response from Hawk, man. That's perfect. When a barrage comes in like that, your D.Va needs to spring into action. The Reign still have control of the point right now, and Pelican is healthy. Can't say the same for Gator, though. He tries to dance his shield for as long as possible. Eventually, he has to succumb. Pelican doesn't have too many options either, but with Kepster going down, there's some work to be done here. Space is desuited, trying to bunny blast it down. And Kai is there, getting rid of Space. He's frustrated, and so he should be. That was the best chance for the Gladiators so far in this round, and they've let it go begging for now.
And they're going all in on this. I mean, they nano Mir here, so they're still trying to flip this. This is still in control of the Atlanta Reign. They've done a tremendous job holding on to this, specifically Pelican and Kai.
Mira's nano's expired as well. The window where he could play more aggressive without fear of instant reprisal is shut. And it's Shu of all picks, man. That is gigantic. Now Kai creates a ton of space to get Hawk healed back up and let him be that active presence in the fight with the Deadeye. Minefield over the top here, but the Reign don't care. They'll play the low ground quite happily. And here it is, Amp Matrix and Iris, Pelican waiting. For whom? Does the bell toll? That's the question. Mirror gets two elsewhere in the map there with the barrage. He's got to go aggressive for it again. But Space is taken down. Who's being spawn camped? That's the question. Kepster's missing once more here. This could go against the Gladiators again. This could all be going wrong. 98% and ticking in the pulse bomb is a good connection. Kai, 3 kills in the fight for him now. And where are the Gladiators? Where it counts the most, they're nowhere to be seen. And again in map 5, the Atlanta Reign break the hearts of the Glads.
That fight, when the Gladiators were on the point, and they looked like they were going to be able to flip, but it comes in from Pelican and Kai, really, the stall out. It's like 38% on the point. And that was pretty much the game at that moment on. We saw it for a little bit when Pelican was sitting in the corner. He actually killed Shu. He was waiting for the Ana off the spawn.
Aha.
And he ended up killing him. Shu had tried to get back. He ended up using a grenade on himself. Even if he would have made it back, he would have had nothing to really help his team. He probably would have had like close to no ammo and no biotic grenade. And so that is a huge win for the Atlanta Reign. Gets them to 8 wins, right? Puts them 1 away from like the Shock and now tied in terms of wins with the Gladiators. And also kind of knocks down the Gladiators a bit, right? You know, if the Gladiators don't know their schedule offhand, but you know, you have some tough games going up for the Gladiators. This is a match you could look back, which, you know, has real big playoff implications.
I mean, it also creates a buffer for what might be one of the hardest qualifiers that the Reign are going to have this year, right?
Sure.
Their strength of schedule has always seemed to be really brutal. It always seems like they have to go up against just the nastiest teams at the worst times. So getting a win against the Gladiators here is a big deal for this roster. And it's time to talk about our player of the match here, presented by Xfinity. Exemplary performances across the board on the Reign, but someone who really caught my eye across the series was Hawk, Matt. It was the interference, the interception play that this guy has been running was really impressive. I mean, you have to limit Kevster's impact on your backline whilst keeping Gator alive in your front line, and you have to go back and forth like a headless chook constantly to do that. What a tough job it is for D.Va players right now, and Hawk is just really enabling the rest of his team here to stave off the flanking potential from the Gladiators. They're constantly playing like a Tracer Sombra setups, and Hawk is doing a great job just controlling that traffic.
And also being able to help Gator, right, with a lot of different looks that they're trying to do, playing like the Reinhardt, which we don't see other teams do right now, you know, then switching over the ball, the Orisa. You're asking a lot of Hawk in a lot of different playstyles and compositions, and I thought he had a really good game today. I think really, you know, for the Atlanta Reign, since they've started making it to Hawaii, like he's elevated his game on the D.Va, taking it to another level.
This is a team that's just had to, you know, adapt and grow and improve. And you know, you talked about that last point, Matt, that last round where Mirrors just, you know, gets stalled out. He's unable to get a barrage. Hawk responds perfectly there to the Farah use of the Gladiators on Oasis particularly. Makes it really hard. I mean, you're investing nano in Mirror, so the Gladiators definitely have their eggs heavily in that basket, and Hawk says, right, well then I've got to try and mitigate the impact of these nano barrages. Did a great job of doing that. Keeping Iris alive is not an easy job under that kind of scrutiny. Great stuff. After a break, we're going to come back, and I'm looking forward to this interview specifically, Matt, because we want to hear about how the Reign have been feeling in this kind of metagame and still being feeling empowered to play a style that seems to suit them, despite
Different talking about Wrecking Ball and Farah being the way to go. So stick around for that one, ladies and gentlemen. What promises to be a fascinating interview with Atlanta Reign's Gator after the break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Pringles. We're joined now by Gator from Atlanta Reign. Gator, congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Anna.
How are you feeling right now? Tired?
Pretty
excited?
Good.
Pumped?
Yeah, a little.
Pretty good?
Just ready to go till tomorrow, I guess. I nothing much to it. Regular season match.
Oh,
so.
you guys have another match tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we play Outlaws.
A little bit of break and then going. You guys are playing Outlaws. How do you think that match is? Do you think that match is going to be an easy win for you guys, or pretty difficult?
I think they're one of the best teams like Glad, so I think it'll be a really hard match. We played like a couple of our worst maps too today, so yeah, we'll see. It should be a good match though.
I mean, yeah, talking about it is, I'm super excited. So talking about today's match against the Gladiators, you know, it was, like you said, it was sort of really a back and forth match. You guys went all the way to map 5. What were some of the things that worked for the Atlanta Reign, and what were some of the things that you guys were planning to do but that didn't sort of work?
On the 3 maps we won, I'd say we pretty much stuck to our game plan for the most part. We pulled out the ball stuff because they started they're trying to like counter comp us off spawn and shit. So like we had to, you know, hit them back with something. But like besides that, we pretty much just stuck to what we were doing. We knew like Anubis, our worst map's pretty much unwinnable. We just kind of go next on that one. But besides that, yeah, I think we pretty much just stuck to what we've been practicing, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you just mentioned that, you know, like they were trying to out-comp you guys. Was that the reason why you pulled out the Reinhardt? I think on Route 66, I think a lot of people were sort of baffled by and sort of excited. I was pretty excited because we haven't seen Reinhardt at all in the Countdown Cup, and you were the first one to pull out, and Atlanta Reign were the first teams to actually pull out that composition. Was that sort of like an impromptu answer to Gladiators Ball, or was that, you know, was that the plan all along for Route 66?
Yeah, I'm still decided. Some of the boys in the Dithead squad told me the Rhine was good, so I gave it a try. Also, never mind, I can't say who we were playing, but we were playing a team in scrims, and they whipped out the Rhine and gave us the hands on it. So I guess we kind of just like decided to pull it out there. I think it's a pretty good, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not even sure if it's good really.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you're not sure if it's good or not, but after trying it out today, then what's your opinion on it, on the Reinhardt right now?
I think it's good. It gives like small advantages you can't get from like the Orisa. So I mean, it's just a beefy hero, right? Especially since we capped the map. There was like almost no reason not to play it. We felt like it was just very, very, very unlikely to end up capping the map if we just kind of like kind of goats it up in a sense, you know. So we just kind of stuck to what our plan was there. I guess it worked out. Yeah.
And it definitely did work out, and I think that sort of helped you guys get the win towards the end. And yeah, with that being said, Gator, that is it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time, and again, big congratulations to you for the win.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, thank you. Let's head back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Danny. Thanks a lot, Gator. Congrats to the Atlanta Reign, and of course to Reinforce and I, as we did get that prediction right. Go us. Anyway, I do want to talk about what Gator just said. Because, quite frankly, I don't know. Was it really the Reinhardt which gave them the edge there in the end? I don't know. What were your thoughts on the on that pick?
They know better than we do. They're in the scrims, as he said. He saw someone else make it work, and he is right. You do get small advantages. I don't know, Johnny. We don't have that answer. But
picks Ryan and just like, yeah, they picked the Ryan and they gave us the hands. It's like, who? Who would do that?
Once so close. He was about to say it, and then he was like, "Oh no, I can't say it." So just
once one person has done it, that's like a permission card for everyone else. It's like, this person did it, so therefore I should be able to do it. So they don't want to get off that Orisa duty. It worked. So if it's working, I don't know if it is the Reinhardt giving them that edge. It does feel like it is hard to get value swinging your hammer or getting value compared to just an Orisa. But, you know, if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, you know, all the power to the Atlanta Reign. They looked pretty good. It was a scrappy game, though. Very back and forth from these two teams. Actually, different looks than what we expected. Both teams went back and forth on the Orisa. Both teams went back and forth on the Wrecking Ball. Little bits of Pharah here and there. It was actually pretty interesting, but you can tell this is a first week of a meta match because there was a lot of random switches, things back and forth. It was more everyone doing whatever they could to make it work. We even saw Genji, we saw Hangzhou, we saw the Reinhardt, as we mentioned before. So exciting stuff, but once again, the Gladiators fans, I'm sorry. This looked like it was going to be a good matter for the Gladiators, but they don't look like they're as coordinated as we were hoping, and being able to sort of keep going with the momentum from the Summer Showdown. They really struggled to sort of, I don't know, make this Pharah work from time to time, and when they don't have Mira in, they can't play the Pharah, so they couldn't counter the Reinhardt. So I would like to see some consistency from the Gladiators because they did seem a little all over the shop, but maybe that is a result of Atlanta Reign doing the same. But nonetheless, both of these teams look somewhat strong in the Countdown Cup, and I'm curious to see if they're gonna start sticking to one thing or if they're gonna keep staying all over the place.
I absolutely love that sentence. They look somewhat strong.
Yeah, good at times. Sometimes I was scratching my head, but as I said, I don't know. Maybe they're right. I'm just speculating from a distance.
No, that's like I can relate. No, that's a great descriptive. Like I'm somewhat good at my job. And sometimes I'm just not. Yeah, it is what it is. Now, shifting gears, looking at our next match. Dallas will be playing once again. And Reinforce, you said it time and time yesterday when we discussed their first opening match here in the Countdown Cup Qualifiers that, yes, it was unexpected that they lost against the Paris Eternal, but it was a quality loss. What do you mean by that?
Well, the Paris Eternal, they're just so good playing this Wrecking Ball composition. It's something that they've showed to us in the past, in the regular season, when we haven't really seen other teams play this Wrecking Ball composition. So yes, they lost to Boston Uprising today, Paris Eternal, but they're still one of the better teams in the North American region when it comes to executing on that Wrecking Ball composition. Dallas, they tried to mirror it themselves. We saw Fearless on the Wrecking Ball, we saw Sparkle on that far, and Do on the Sombra. So we've seen Dallas tried to play that composition. I just think Paris Eternal had more experience. Now, the good loss, why I said that was because I think that Dallas Fuel could learn from a lot of their mistakes in that match against the Paris Eternal. But as they go up against the San Francisco Shock today, the question is really, what are we even going to see in the first place? Because we've seen, like here, Fearless is playing the Winston, San Francisco Shock, they're playing the Winston. We might even get into a scenario where both teams opt out of playing the Wrecking Ball in the first place. We saw Dallas do this against the Washington Justice, where both teams just acknowledged, like, yeah, we got really good Winstons. Let's just see who is the better one. Ego duel. So maybe we'll see that more today between the Shock and the Dallas Fuel. I think Dallas Fuel, they learned a lot when it came to the Wrecking Ball composition yesterday, but I cannot guarantee that we're going to see that same composition today against the Shock, because the Shock as well, they're kind of happy, you know, slowing things down. They have hit scan players, whereas Dallas Fuel does not. So I think this matchup is going to be way more about hero switches than we saw from Dallas Fuel in yesterday's matchup.
Anything you want to add to that, Costa?
No, I think that's a great point from Johnny. I think the most interesting thing for me for this matchup that makes it so hard to predict is we saw what Dallas Fuel wants to do, basically, for the most part in this tournament. We haven't seen the San Francisco Shock. Wrecking Ball with the Tracer Sombra doesn't seem like something they'd be very strong at, but with Arns back in the lineup, maybe they can slow it down. So I honestly have no idea what to expect. Is Violet going to play Zenyatta? Is Violet going to play DPS? Is Violet going to play Brig? I don't really know, and that is the big issue with the Shock, is that it's all a mystery at this point.
You know, that leads us to our bold predictions presented by Pringles, because as we were discussing this match, Danny had quite a take. A hot one, I dare say. Would I say bold, even?
Very bold prediction. Guys, this is a bold prediction, right? And you know, we've seen right now it's either Wrecking Ball comp or the Orisa composition, right? Orisa composition, we've seen McCree, San Francisco Shock. McCree, San Francisco Shock. Yes, Violet on McCree. That is my bold prediction presented by Pringles. Yes, Violet is going to be back on the McCree. I know they have ons, but you know, it's a bold prediction. Very bold. Bold flavor. Spicy.
Why
Violet,
do this
McCree.
I mean, I do ask us for a bold prediction. You gotta go bold with it, and we know that Danny is always shooting for the moon, so I'm not surprised at all. What I love the most about this entire situation here was just that you try to, you know, play up to it, work up to it, and all along the lower third already told us.
That's why I like fast. Yeah, I was fast talking. I saw it, but I couldn't.
It's like I wasn't
fast enough.
I loved it. Well, that's our bold prediction. Let's see if it comes true. If it does, I'm pretty sure that at least Costa is going to mold into infinity, which is going to be fun, as we can discuss that in our post-match discussions. For now, we're going to hand it over to our casters. It's going to be Mr. X and Mitch. How bold is that prediction, guys?
I gotta get whatever Danny is drinking or eating in these breaks. It's whatever he's got sounds crazy. I mean, I think they have aunts, right? I mean, why it's also a Zen meta as well. Why would you not put Violet on Zen right now? I feel like that's kind of
begging for it. Why not?
Yeah, maybe they'll put Ans on Zen. Yeah.
Oh, that should have been my bold prediction.
Long range hit
Ans on
scan.
Zenyatta.
Sniper. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Johnny. Ons is having a tough time coming back, so they'll put him on Brig, and they'll put Twilight on the Zen, and then Violet on the McCree. I think that makes some sense.
Boom. There
That
it
is
It's bold.
Look,
Why not?
it's like habanero pepper spicy. I will if we see it, like, honestly, unreal respect, more respect than
It is. It's not going to happen.
effects going back to Korea. That's all I'm saying.
Is there some
There'll be a lot
bold
of respect.
prediction? Is there a bold prediction leaderboard somewhere? I would love to see if anyone's actually
There's
gotten
only
these
losers.
right.
There's no winners. There's no winners.